Today on The Spin Out, we're joined by Rachel Toyer, a solo mum, storyteller, and content creator who has built an incredible online community by sharing her journey with honesty and heart. Rachel first caught attention through her Instagram page, Solo Mum Thriving, where she invited her followers into her world as a single mum to her son, Arlo. From navigating life on the road in a van to creating a home that's filled with love, laughter, and resilience, Rachel has shown what it means to build a life on your own terms, one that's both challenging and deeply rewarding. Her story has been featured multiple times on Mamamia, resonating with thousands of women who see themselves in her words and experiences. These days, Rachel's platform has evolved into a space where she empowers other women to step into content creation with confidence, offering guidance, sharing insights, and continuing to remind her audience that authenticity and courage are at the heart of every good story. Hi, Rachel. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. It's really exciting to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So, where are you right now?
Adelaide, Australia.
Adelaide, Australia. And so let's unpack who you are and what you do and everything about your online profiles, because it's a super exciting space. Influencers, when I started in my marketing career, which was a really long time ago, there wasn't even social media. We were, doing things like print advertising and on all kinds of marketing in magazines and things like that. But social media didn't even exist. So to understand what an influencer was, that's something that I could not have understood at all, going back 25 years ago. So let's start with that. What is an influencer? And how did you become that? How did you get started doing that?
Well, an influencer, I think by definition, is somebody who influences others through their public profile. I, like so many people in business, it was a total accident. I didn't mean to become an influencer.
Didn't finish
Almost
school and go, I'm going to be an influencer when I grow up.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I had a teaching career for 20 years. And in the last year of that career, so only a couple of years ago, I went camping with my son. So my son was 2, and I was 38, like not what you would think of as an influencer age. And we went camping for the first time. There was a cyclone. We stayed in it for some unknown reason. And our tent was the only one that didn't blow away. And
Well,
I was
good. That's a good start.
yeah, and there were families, people with dads, grandpas, big group, all these different people. They either packed up or their tents were forced throughout the night to pack up, or they fell down, whatever, right? But we're the only ones in this camping ground who stayed the whole night, and I was so proud of myself because I'm a solo mum by choice. So I had my son via IVF and a sperm donor. And I was just so proud that it was us who had survived. And it was our first trip, and I said to our friends who are all now staying in cabins and motels around the place, I should tell everyone this so other solo mums go camping. And that's it. That's how it started. I just started posting, talking about how solo mums by choice are great and how we'd survived this camping, and it kind of evolved. Like, I don't post anything like that anymore. But that's how influencers start. They post something that does well and they kind of get addicted to it, and it kind of evolves from that. Not most, many influencers out there now, that's definitely not what they meant to do. They
Just happened
wanted,
by accident.
yeah, like and for a lot of people, it's that you go viral very early on, just accidentally. Like for me, it was that I posted about this ridiculous piece of fabulous, ridiculous piece of plastic that my mum gave me for the kitchen. And I posted about that and it went viral. And I had no idea at the time why it went viral, why people liked it. I didn't know what to do with it. But because of that happy accident, I just kept growing. And, you know, how it
And so
happened.
when you say go viral, like what does that mean? How many people were looking at that post on the plastic thing, and you know what did that look like?
So it was 100. Well, it was 1 million people. It was 1 million people. So
A million people went, oh my God, you're amazing. I'm going to share this and go crazy.
well, 1 million people didn't share it. 1 million people watch it. So it depends on who you ask. What does it mean to be viral? I remember when it first started getting. So I had maybe like, I don't know, 1,000 followers at the time, and I'd been posting maybe for 3 months, and it got to 10,000 views, which is obviously way more, or 10,000 accounts reached, which is way more watching my account. So technically, you could say that's viral because it's like a disease that goes viral. If people are sharing it, more people are watching it,
Like a
and it's
pandemic.
growing like a pandemic. Yeah. And so, yeah, I remember sort of when it hit 10,000, and I was like, who are these 10,000 people? Like, where are they? Why are they watching this? And then I remember when it hit 100,000, because when it hit 100,000, I was trying to convince, my friends, my family, I think this is viral. This is got to be viral. So when you Google it, it says that that could be viral. But when it hit 1 million, when it clocked over to 1 million, I was actually in the McDonald's car park with my mum, and we just thought that it was the most thing ever. It was, yeah, and now it happens all the time. And it doesn't really register. It's like anything. The first time it happens, it's just so exciting. And now I don't really think about 1 million as being as exciting as it was. But that first time,
Just another
yeah.
day. It's just another day now.
Yeah, now it's just another day, yeah. But then it was, and I kind of expected that companies would start throwing money at me. That's kind of in my head. I thought 1 million views, that means that there's going to be like 10,000 companies that are all going to start throwing money at me and saying, make content for us. It didn't actually happen like that at all. But I think that's what most people think happens as well.
So let's unpack that. At what point did you actually think, oh, this is something I can make money out of, and how did you go about that? Like, how do you even go about making money online by going viral?
Yeah. Well, it was that day. It was sitting in McDonald's car park. My mum she was 81 then. And in explaining it to her, she was like, what does this mean, going viral? Go viral, they're on the news, and I've since been on the news from going viral. But at the time, I don't actually know, Mum, but let me Google it. And when you Google it, like what happens when you go viral? There's a whole bunch of different not urban myths, it's true, but stories about how it will happen, and how when you go viral, you'll be able to, the companies will reach out to you and they'll say, here's $5,000 and here's $1,000, make us this. But it's it's not exciting like that at all. I sat and did nothing on it for probably 3 months. So for 3 months after that first viral one, nothing happened. And I was
You're like
like,
sitting at the phone going, come on, call and give me my $5,000.
yes. Well, and I remember explaining it to my mum, and I was like, I think it just takes some time, maybe. But I mean, it's all, I now know, nonsense. You actually, like in any other business, you have to make connections with those businesses. So at that point,
And
for the
you've got
first
to outreach to them as well,
totally,
right?
yeah. So even though I existed and I knew that I could now make a viral reel, and other content was, doing well, nothing else went viral in those first 6 months. But I knew that I was growing quickly. And so, but then I realized I actually had to make connections. I didn't actually make a story. So this was all on Instagram. I didn't know what a story was. I didn't watch stories personally, and I had no idea. And it actually took somebody sending me a really nasty message saying, you must be paying for all of your reach because you don't even make stories. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And I was like, what a story? What should I be doing them? And so then once I made stories, that's when businesses did start actually contacting me and saying, hey, we have this free product. Would you like to create content for that? And, we'd like to give you $50 for this. And I did everything. Initially, I did everything that everyone was sending to me, because anything on top of my teaching salary was super exciting. And I kept envisioning what everyone envisions, which is soon someone will just send me thousands of dollars. You know, if I just do all of these little pieces, that will happen. And yeah, again, it didn't. But it was about networking, just like in any other marketing that you do. Yeah, I made stories, I followed businesses, I talked to them, I messaged them, and yeah, over the course of a couple of years, I've now got a small handful of businesses that I work for and create content for regularly. But yeah, they all through my own initiative. The ones that I've still got are the ones that I've made contact with myself
and built that relationship. And so
yeah,
you quit teaching at some point?
I did. So at the start of this year, I quit teaching because through social media, all these other opportunities came up. But again, it wasn't that people were throwing them at me. So because I was now aware, anyone who's watching Instagram is constantly bombarded with different ways you can make money through social media. And because I was aware of all these different opportunities, I tried lots of them. And the first piece of money I actually made through social media, so Mamamia, the online women's magazine. So the first piece of income that I made was almost 2 years ago, and it was actually not from a brand. It wasn't through anything that I had thought this has made money from. It was that Mamamia, the online women's magazine, just put out a call out looking for a story. And I had that story. They were just looking for a single mum with a story about travel, I think. And I, sent them a message and I said, oh, I can share my story. And they said, oh, that's cool. And I said, do you mind if I write it? Because I'm an English teacher. I'd love to actually just write it myself. And they said, oh, yeah, that's fine. And I wrote it. And then they said, oh, you don't happen to have a story about, and then they told me another thing. And I said, yeah, but would you mind paying me to do that? And that was it. They said yes. And then I've been writing pieces for them and news.com.au. And I share my stories and other people's stories that I learn about through my influencer page. So even though that's not something I ever would have thought that influencers had anything to do with, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the influencer page. And then that has led to different opportunities that, yeah, you don't know until you sort of venture into it.
And I think it's great that you felt confident in that moment to ask them, can I get paid for it? Because I think, a lot of people when they start out in business are not thinking about how they're going to make money from what they're doing. And, it's like, what are you in business for if you're not making money out of it? It's like you've got to be able to support yourself and do all of those things as well. So, I think like some people, it's like that's something that's really important is to know what your worth is as well in terms of, in the beginning it might be something that very little of what you're asking, but over time it's got to, build to what you, is valuing your time, right?
Oh, absolutely. And like if I could go back to the beginning, all the lessons you learn that you can't possibly know. But that very first viral reel, this piece of plastic that I made a reel about because my mum gave it to me for a gift, that company they continued to sell out of that plastic thing. They sell out of it.
Have you hit them up? Yeah. Have you gone back and hit them up for some money?
Well, yes. And it did not go well for me. And it absolutely it annoys me. I've actually deleted, because once something does well, you should repeat it over and over again, just like in any other business. And because that reel did so well for me, I reposted it multiple times. But then I would know that every time I reposted it, they would sell out of it. They would make lots of money and they'd sell out of it. I tried lots of different ways saying to them, can I have an affiliate code? Would you like to make more videos? All sorts of different things. I talked to their marketing team on the phone and I just never got anywhere with it. So I've all but taken down one of them. There's only one of those videos left because I was just so cranky about it. I've never actually had that experience with anyone else. Every other instance, if I've gone viral sharing someone's product, they've hooked me up with an affiliate code, or they've asked me to create future content, whatever. But it's kind of funny that it's that first one. But yeah, you can never know your worth until time has passed. It's very hard to put a monetary value on it before it's gone viral.
Value on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And do you get a mixture now in terms of what you get in terms of freebies and things like that compared to what you actually get hard cold cash for? Like, how does that kind of compare for you now?
Yeah, so look, if I was to take all of the freebies, there's still lots of freebies. And so now I have about 50,000 followers on Instagram and 20,000-ish on Facebook. So when companies see a piece of content that I've created and they think, oh, she'd be good at sharing our, gift, our product, whatever, they send messages. I don't see a lot of them these days, so they go to spam, and I, don't, because they're sending very copy and paste generic messages. And so lots of them I don't reply to, and lots of them I reply to and say, if they write it sincerely, it's actually an individual message, not just a generic one. I say no to a lot of it because it's work, and you have to declare gifts that you're given. So that's an Australian tax rule. If somebody gives you a pram, if someone was, so I get a lot of requests for me to receive gifts of prams, but I don't have a baby anymore. So if I was to receive $1,000 pram and make content, I would actually be declaring as if I had earned $1,000, and I'd be stuck with a pram that I wouldn't need. So I say mostly no to gifts these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you say 50,000 followers on Instagram?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, to put this in context for people, right? Like 50,000 is not just, post a few things, get a few followers and grow an audience quickly. Like, we as a business, our Instagram is about 10,000 followers, and we've been building that over 5 years with, a dedicated resource in marketing who focus on that, who are constantly, putting out content and trying to do all of those things to build that audience. But it's taken a long time just to get to that point. And you're at 5 times that size. So what's the magic bullet? And I know you're going to say there isn't one, but what is the magic bullet behind that? Like, what are the the key things that you've done that help you build that audience to that level?
Look, yes, there are no magic beans, no magic bullet, but there are commonalities between anyone who has a big following. They make content that people want to see rather than what people to see. So because and it's personal, it's a personal page, not a business page, that's always easier when you're not something. And at least for the first year when I was creating content, and in that first year, that's when I grew to about 20,000 followers, my content was just about attracting people. I was selling nothing. There was, it was all accidental. If people bought plastic oven things because of me, it was an accident. It wasn't that I was aiming for it. And so people do like to follow people. And I recommend to any of the businesses that I work with that they, like with your page, that you put the founder in the content. But what I would recommend people do is make it less professional, which is, I know it's just intuitive to all marketing, but we learn about marketing in school. Kids are learning it from like when they're 5, how to spot marketing, how to know when it's coming at you. And so it's the same thing with social media. When it looks too perfect, too clean, too tidy, founder, if they're looking like they could be an actor or like somebody scripted it, people are inclined to watch it. So with my content, because it's never been, well, some of it is scripted, but because it doesn't appear to be scripted most of the time, it's very personal and authentic. No one feels like they're being sold to. They're more inclined to follow it. So the trick is, whether you're a business or an individual, to not appear scripted and overly shiny, because that's what TV, radio, magazine marketing does, and that's a separate kind of marketing. But people don't go on social media to be marketed at. They go on for a break, for a rest, to be entertained. And so you want your content to look like it's just an influencer, even business.
And has that influenced like the type of brands that you work with? Like, does it mean that you pick brands that you can resonate with, more authentically as well, and so that that comes through when you're creating content for?
It is a perfect example, though. So for example, um, the reason that people follow me, lots of people follow me, is that when I make content and it goes wrong, I keep doing. So lots of people like it because it is authentic. Um, like currently, I've just walked around my stable internet connection, but that means that you've been able to see, well, people listening, but you've been able to see the mess that everywhere. And that's what people want to see on social media. They want to see the mess, the imperfections. And just by accident, that's my personality. So when I talk to other people about growing on social media, I encourage them just to be let perfect, to show the journey, be authentic, to not script things when they stuff up, to lean into it, because that's the most enjoyable stuff that we all like seeing.
Absolutely. I think it makes you feel better as a parent yourself when you see other people not being perfect, right? Because you're like, well, that's okay. It's okay that I don't have all of this together. Sometimes it's just survival, and that's okay. I did notice when you were walking around before looking for a better internet, I saw some laundry bags, some branded pink laundry bags in the background. And that's how we know you, right? Because you have done some influencer campaigns for us, both doing ones where we give you free services to use our service, as well as paid ones. So and I love the content that you create. Like, it's so real in terms of like what is this worth in your time? Like, what else could you be doing? Some of those types of things. Like, what does it mean to you to get your laundry done? Is that a big time saver in your life?
Oh, yeah. So I reached out to Laundry Lady because I thought, we were in Bali last year. We got our laundry, well, I got our laundry done. And I thought, oh, this would be so good if this was a thing we had in Australia. I honestly thought I was inventing it. I had no idea that but I made a story that said, does anyone know if you can get your laundry done in Australia, like how you get it done in Bali? And all of these people messaged me and they're like, yeah, I get it with Laundry Lady. Um, and so that's sort of how I do collaborations now, is that when I actually want a product or a service, I ask other people what they're using, they suggest things, and then I contact that business. So that's how things started with Laundry Lady. But now I
Love
can't,
that.
yeah, can't imagine how I would. I mean, obviously, I can do my laundry, but when we come back from travels in particular, like we just came back from being in Sydney for a week, and you come back and it's just, you've got all your laundry that you've had with you for the entire time, and it sort of sours the trip. So even if people are only using Laundry Lady for those special occasions, when you're sick, when you've just come back from a holiday, it just saves so much time. Um, and then ultimately, I earn more money because I'm not spending my time. Like, I work from home now, but it means that I'm not spending my time doing laundry. I'm spending that time doing what I do best, which is making content and teaching other people how to make content. Um, you know, so it's just, yeah, perfect. I love it. Thank you for
Yeah.
existing.
Thank you for using us. Yeah, I mean, it's such it's one of the big values, I think, of our service is that you can use it in lots of different ways. Like, you can be someone who has it done every single week, or you can be someone who just gets it done every so often. And and I myself am also a solo mum, and it is definitely the hardest job in the world. And I have two boys that like to fight each other all of the time, so it's like a chaos completely in my household. And I have used this service as like for ironing and for a lot of the time. But I've literally only just recently started getting my laundry done on a weekly basis. And I have to say how like life changing that has been for me. I'm like, why didn't I do this before? And my son was like, Mum, this is a really good business. It's like it suddenly clicked into him what the business is all about. Because, it's so easy, sure, to put your own washing on, but it's the getting it out and drying it and then folding it and then putting it away that like, it all falls apart. And so, it really does just feel so nice when it comes back all folded and ready to go and just put it straight away. So, not just plugging my own business like it is, but it actually has really been a great change for my home life and in being a single mum and trying to, raise my boys on my own and keep any kind of, systems and processes in our household.
I totally understand. Um, yeah, like it means when it arrives, I feel like it's sort of like giving myself a little treat. Like I always feel good when we come home and it's on the doorstep. It's, like a bunch of flowers that I bought for myself, but they don't die. So yeah,
I
no.
love that. We could get Miley Cyrus to change her lyrics to "You can buy yourself laundry" instead of flowers.
Oh,
Um,
that's actually a really, really good real idea, and I might steal
yes,
that for my next.
go for
Um,
it. Go for it
yeah,
as
no,
soon as we
that
can
is
do
actually quite
it.
good. Yeah, no, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. That's a good one.
yeah, I love that. So you also have lived life in a van. So tell us about that. How long did you do that for? Why did you start doing that? What did you love about it? What did you hate about it?
um, sometimes I ask myself all those questions and I don't know the answers. So we did it because once I stopped being a teacher, so the start of last year, once I stopped being a teacher, I realized that I didn't have to stay where we were living. There just wasn't a need. And we travel a lot naturally. Like we live in Adelaide, but I'm from Sydney. Um, my best friend's on the Gold Coast. So we traveled a lot. And my son at the time last year was 3, and he didn't do well with all the trouble with sleeping in different people's beds. So, it seemed to solve that problem. And the more I thought about it, the more I convinced myself, genius idea. And it and it would have been, but I executed it poorly. We'll do it again in the future, but with a more expensive motorhome. The issue was that it was a fairly inexpensive motorhome, and I thought, oh, that's all right. I don't mind. But as with anything, you get what you pay for. And it just didn't have lots of things. Like I actually got sick in it because it swayed too much when it rained, when it was windy. And so it ultimately, the thing that got us out of it was that I couldn't sleep in it because I would get like seasick.
No.
So yeah, and I could have never anticipated that, but I don't regret it. It was a wonderful experience, and I've learned so much just about everything. Um, and I couldn't have done it actually without Laundry Lady because it didn't have a, a washing machine. If I was to do van life, when we do van life again, I will actually get a washing machine just for those things when your kid is sick or you
Smaller
spill
things.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so handy though having Laundry Lady. I very much upped our laundry intake then because they would come to whichever in or literally all up and down the East Coast. Everywhere we went, there was a Laundry Lady. All lad, but mostly I found the ladies. I love the idea that it's other women and their business. It just, I don't know. I really love that aspect of it. That we end up
That's
with lots of
awesome.
them having a chat at the door, and that's kind of nice. And I always ask them like, "Oh, so how are you doing this?" And some of them, it's a side hustle, and they're like, "Oh, I'm raising money to expand my business," and it's just so lovely that it's something that they can do that's so flexible. So yeah, it's been really, yeah, that was really helpful with the motorhome living. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's I have seen those little washing machines in that that you get in vans. Like they're quite tiny. Like they're usually only kind of 1 or 2 kilograms of load that you can
Mm.
fit in them. But they're so cute. They're just so cute.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
could see how you having both of those options for you would be really great when you travel. Maybe we'll have to brand your new van when you get that. Put some laundry lady branding on the side. Make it a pink van for you.
Please do. I would love that. And because as with all marketing, like lots of people knew about Laundry Lady before I did, and I had no idea. Like I said, I thought that I was going to invent this concept. I was like, somebody's going to say, "Wow, we should do that." As with everything, if you're not, if people don't know that you exist, then you may as well not, exist. So the more exposure you have, whether it's on, a pink motorhome traveling the country or wherever, you can have the best business. But if people don't know about it, you might think that you don't. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's huge.
I love that advice. Like I say that to people all the time. You're not in business not to tell anyone about it. Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
goal is to tell other people and to get customers and that often means like what you were talking about before about like the founder has to put their own story out there and put that on social media. And like that's not something that was my comfort zone in the beginning, but I've found over time that I really had to do that because people like to hear my story and like to know why I started and did what I did. And so, and get out there. And so, tell people at every opportunity you can what it is you do and that's how you get customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like people, you don't just say it once. Like there are people that follow me who every day might send a message and sort of say like, "Oh, I had no idea that you had a son. I knew you had kids." And I think, wow, like I've never posted anything other than that I'm a solo mum of one son. But unless, like, we're all just tired, unless we hear something 100 times, um, we fill in the gaps in our own mind. So, when people follow me, they get that I'm a mum, but how many kids I have, what gender that kid is, what city I live in, what country even, people fill in the gap if you're not repeating it over and over and over and over again. Mm.
Yeah. And so does your son willingly, be your model in your content, or does he not like enjoy that? He's probably still young enough to just go with the flow with that, right?
Well, he probably likes it a bit too much. So I've actually this year almost, yeah, he's 5 now. So he was 2 when I started. When I started, part of it was that he, like me, is an entertainer, and I thought, you know, he enjoys it. He liked being filmed. He's very funny. He was a very funny 2-year-old. Some of the reel that went viral initially, it's because he's in the background and he just has perfect comic timing um, to do something funny in the background. So he actually loves it. But because he is about to start school and now at 5, he's more recognizable. So people do say, "Oh, I've seen you on Instagram." And I, I've actually phased him out because I don't want I don't want him to be mad at me, perhaps, that I put him on Instagram so much when he was recognizable. I don't want other kids at school watching him on Instagram, for example, when he's so young.
Yeah,
So,
that's really interesting because I have a teenager and an
mm.
almost teenager, and my teenager would die if I put him on social media. Like I have to pay him just to be in a photo with me. Like it's just to bribe him to do that. But he would like he doesn't even like me posting personal things to our personal friends on social media. He is very, and very sensitive to that, and very sensitive to the fact that his friends might know who I am, and no, I don't want them to know, Mum, all of that kind of thing. My youngest one's still quite happy to be involved and be in there, but he is starting to also charge me if I put him into content. Like, it will cost me in Roblox or something to get him to
Yes,
do that. So yeah, it can be pretty amusing.
yes. I acknowledge that at some point I will have to start paying my son so that he can feel like he's getting not just the material benefits of the fact that like it's my income and we travel all the time and he gets free stuff. But yeah, everyone loves to earn an income. I should be proud of. We should both be proud that our sons are wanting to be
It's the
entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurial
Also,
spirit, right? In them
it
of,
is.
yeah, I want to get paid.
Yes, yes.
My eldest also likes to critique our marketing, which is very amusing. So anyway, one day he'll probably run the company. We'll see. And so let's talk about being a solo mum, because it is definitely the hardest job in the world, and like a super brave that you set out to do that from the beginning. But what do you tell yourself when on the days when it's really hard, and do you get to those, like, the one of the hardest things I find is when you get to that point where it's like, well, I've got to make all these decisions on my own. It all sits with me, and sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming, I find, particularly when there might be hard decisions to make. So how do you deal with those kinds of times?
Oh, I would like to tell you that I deal with them well, but I don't. I mean, I think that's parenting. Um, yeah, sometimes, a lot of the time, uh, I just accept a little bit of failure on that front. I can't do everything, even if I could multiply myself, even if I had this perfect partner. Um, I Raising a child, and particularly in the current day and age when we're not living in villages, when it's a one family show. Every family, no matter how connected they are to their own family, they still are, uh, you know, primarily in charge of everything happening in their household, and it's a lot for everyone. So yeah, like everyone, I drop the ball in lots of different places, and I think more it's about accepting that I'm dropping the ball, which is really hard. You want to be perfect and not give your kids things to about in the future, but I think we're just picking our battles and picking what we'll let slip.
That resonates with me so much. Yeah, I think, it's at the end of the day, we're all doing our best, and the next person's not necessarily doing any better than you are, even though it might look or feel like they are sometimes.
Yes,
And so, I think sometimes it's just accepting that, sometimes you're gonna live in chaos, or sometimes it's gonna be mess, or yeah, like whatever it is. And it's like, does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? What are the things that you can let go, and what are the things that you absolutely have to do, to run a household, or keep your kids happy and fed and healthy, and just the top line things.
being a solo mum is hard. All types of motherhood are hard. All types of business ownership it's all hard. All of it is hard. But the only way for any of it to fail is if we give up, stop doing it. And so, as with everything, you just cling to the things like getting someone else to do your laundry. You cling to the things that make it easier, and keep plowing forward. Even if you fall on your face, as long as it's in the forward direction, it's still moving forward.
I love that. I always say, just keep swimming, just like Dory. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Absolutely.
I love that. So, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been so great. And so, how do we find you online? Where do we follow you?
You can just look up my name. So Rachel.Toya, or Toyer, if I was to say it how it's spelled. Toyer.
And on Instagram and TikTok.
No, no TikTok for me. That moves
No
too
TikTok.
fast. Too fast for my face.
No
Um,
dancing on TikTok.
no,
No, like, Taylor Swift moves of.
I can't keep up with TikTok. I'm too old. That's not true. It's great for lots of people, but not for me. No, just Instagram. If you look me up on Google, actually, you'll just see pages and pages and pages that will somehow direct you to my Instagram. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Well, maybe we'll do the TikTok dance next time. Definitely no. Definitely no. That's yes. I don't get paid enough to do the dances either.
And no. And I would just, people would just be laughing at me, which is exactly why they would love for us to do TikTok dances. But no, we
Yeah,
won't be doing
we
that.
would definitely go viral, I'm sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and it's been great to chat and hear a lot of your journey and your story. And I love that Laundry Lady's helping you on the road and as well as at home. And yeah, we'll definitely continue to do work with you. We love it. So been great to have you on with us. Thank you.
Thank you. It was lovely to chat to you.